can hear my voice. All right, so we've been working on this for about a half hour. How did we do? Yes? No? Maybe? So what were our biggest hang-ups? Let's figure this out. What are we getting stuck? So going front end and back end, connecting these. Okay. Where else? Anything, Asia?
It really was just like making sure you get the right value to the back end and to the right way.
Okay, so making sure you're setting the right thing into the back end. That's great. Anything else? Yeah, Farah. Debugging because I'm not sure where the error is. That's fair. Yeah. Any other big hangups? All right, so let's kind of walk through this. Yep. Oh yeah, I'm recording. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so if we're walking through this, we decide we needed an HTML page. So we know we have HTML, right? Document, we'll just call this like, I don't know what we want to call this. We'll just call it PG Promise so that we know which project it is. We said we needed a form because we wanted to create a user. So let me go ahead and make a form. I'm going to get rid of the action. And what does it take for us to create a user? A name and an age, right? And we know that because if we look at our database inside of here, and we look at our schema there, we see that our users takes this name and an age, and we know the ID will be generated for us automatically. So we only have two fields that we need to make. So let's go to our HTML and make those fields. So again, I could be using like labels and inputs. Yeah, maybe I will. Okay, so I'll say label for, and let's go ahead and say name, or I'll say name input. Keep it clear what I'm saying, and then I have two tabs going. I'll say name, and then on the next line, let's go ahead and make our input. We'll say text, it's self-closing, and let's give it this ID of name input, and then let's go ahead and do that. Oops, I need a closing. Well, so then let's go ahead and do that again for our age. So, oops, I did too much. Shift. Maybe I can just, whatever, I'll just re-highlight it. Instead of saying name input, let's just say age input. And I'll change this to age. And that seems fine. Let's go ahead and make a button for submit. And I'll just say submit form. I'll give this a type submit. Right, so hopefully a lot of this part was reviewed. We did these quite a bit. And so then let's make sure everything looks all right. We'll copy the path. Let's make a new HTML, new window, paste in our path. And I'm going to put this before that. And we've got our form, right? We should open the dev tools always. Okay, so we've got our form. Any questions on just building a quick form?
Can you just show the label?
Sure. Yeah, so I just have labels that point to the input. That's better for accessibility purposes. If I didn't use the for, I could just nest it inside of the label, and that would work as well. So we got the form. we said we're going to have a list of users at all times. So I'm also just going to go ahead and make an empty UL here for now. And I'll put nothing in there because I will generate the rest. Let's make a script tag that will point to our index.js. So I'll say /index.js, or I think I can just do it like that, but I will do the path anyway.
Should we have made the input for age and number instead of text?
We could. It just depends. It's up to you. I guess I will be sending it back in as a string, but we can make it a number. Sure. Seems like a good idea. That's here, right? Type number you want to do? Sure. Sounds good. I like it. Okay. And let's just also say that I want this to load asynchronously. So I'm going to add the async tag there at the top so I don't have to listen to the DOM event, DOM content loaded. Yes. I just misspelled it though. Class. It wouldn't be me if I didn't misspell it, right? You don't want some imposter here who spells everything correctly. I'm like Ken Jennings. Oh. No. The question is, can you still use DOM content loaded if you have an async right here? And I don't think that will work now. So it's one or the other. It's okay if you did the other. That's fine. I'm just trying to save myself some writing because I like to try to write close to as efficiently as I can. Saves time for me. Okay. So we'll go into our index.js. We should definitely make sure everything's linked together. Right? So let's just log hello. Go back to our page, refresh. We have hello. Things are connected. Excellent. Okay. So let's create a function that is going to populate that UL with all of the names. So let's go ahead and say const. Yeah, let's say list people or something. And I know I'm going to be using an asynchronous function in here. So I'm, yes. This is the error I'll continue to make today. It's a new one. I don't know why that happens to me. Let's just throw in a try catch. Make sure we're going to catch any errors. I don't know what I'll do in here, so maybe I'll just log the error for now. Just to have it around. And then we have to go ahead and actually go ahead and get all of our users, right? So that's going to be this array of objects. And so we have a route for that. It's right here, right? We built this HTTP localhost 3000/users, and we get all of this information. So let's go ahead and save this. Copy this link. And then let's go ahead and make this Axios call. Now I am not on the front end, so I don't have Axios, I think, but we'll see what happens. So let's just say let response equal await, and we'll say Axios.get. Oops. Now I could just use fetch here if I don't really want to worry about dealing with Axios, but then I have to check if the status is okay and 200. So that can be kind of annoying. And just down here for fun, let's just call list people. Okay. And I think we'll get an error. Yeah, Axios is not defined. So what do I need to do? I got to use the Axios script, right? Because the script has to do with the front end. This will change in Unit 4 when we start using React. Then we'll be able to install Axios. But for now, we still have to use the Axios script. So let's go ahead and find the link for that. So I'll say Axios script. There's just a little bit of setup here. Is it? Well, I'll get it from here. Right? They should both have it. Okay, here's the script. Looks good. Let's go. Right? Copy. Go back to our original link here, and we'll add that to our HTML. I'll just throw it in here. And now we don't get that error anymore. Okay? All right, so notice we make a change, we run the code. If there's an error, we address the error. We make the change, run the code. If there's another error, we'll address that error. If not, we continue. That should always be the pattern. Right? If you've written like a function or a couple functions and you haven't ran them yet, you're gonna have a bad time later. If you saw how many errors we got just from that owner ID thing when we were trying to build that in. But if I hadn't run that, and I had done like 6 more of those things, I'd be so confused what's going on, and I'd have to like. But I knew exactly where the error is because I just wrote the one line of code. Same with here, right? I'd only written Axios, so obviously the error is that. It also said that Axios wasn't defined or anything. But if I wait, it could get tricky. So let's throw a debugger there and see what our response looks like. All right, so if I refresh, we hit our debugger, and we should be able to see our response. And our response looks like this, right? This is always, let me make that a little larger. This is always the kind of response we get back when we're using Axios. This res, this data, status, text, right? It's always the same. So if I want to get the actual data, I say res.data, and then we get this. Where did this get created? In the backend. What file? Yeah, this was from our users query file, right? All right, so this is where that comes from. So we are creating what we want back, right? So like, I put this so that we had users and the status and message. I probably didn't need all that stuff, but I put it in anyway. So if I want to actually get all the users, right, I know I have to do res.data.users. And then I'll have this array of users. Okay, so let's go ahead and make that variable. So we'll say let users equal res.data.users. And then let's go ahead and grab that UL and then create LIs for it, or with its name and everything. Okay? So we'll say that UL equal document dot query selector, and we'll say just we want the UL. Okay, so now we've got the UL. As they create new users, I want to update this UL. And now there's a couple different ways I could do that. But one way is I'm just going to remake this request and redraw the UL for now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my UL. So I'm going to say ul.innerHTML is empty. You'll see why I'm doing that in a minute. And then let's iterate through our users. Users.forEach. Each. Okay. Instead of calling that element, I'm going to call it user. We know that each user has a name property. So let's create our li. So let li equal document dot. What does it create? Create element. Nice. Li. Yeah.
Did you put a UL in there?
Yes, I did. And then how do I add what? li.innerText user.
User, yes.
What is user right now? Oh, it's so user. Yeah. So somebody raise their hand and tell me what user is. Kong?
User is an object in the ID, the name, the age.
Right. So user is an object right now that contains the ID, name, and age. So the task was just to print the name. So I'm going to say user.name. Okay. And then let's go ahead and append this to the UL. So ul.append child, right? We know this. And we'll say li. Okay. Great. So let's run this code. So we'll refresh our page. And we have our users. Cool. So I have a feeling that when we add a new user, it's going to end up on the bottom. But we can just go ahead and we'll address that in a minute, I guess. Okay. So the next task is to create the user. So let's go ahead and listen for a submission on our form. So, okay, we've got list our people, and then down here, let's go ahead and grab our form. So we'll say const form, and we'll just grab it. So we'll say document query selector, and we'll grab the form. Now there are ways for me to continue to update things as they're filling out the form, but for now let's just do it this way. I'll teach you the other way when we go more into React. It will be more important then. And let's add our listener. What kind of event are we listening for? Submit, right? So we say form.submit, and we'll say form.addEventListener. I wish, right? That's more like jQuery-ish. jQuery, I should say .on, which is nice. Instead of addEventListener, just .on click or on submit, which is cool. Okay, so then we'll run some anonymous function where we have to post, right? So I'm just going to use async await here again. It takes in an event. Do I care about this event? Why? Because or else it's going to refresh the whole thing. Right, excellent. For those of you who said that. So let's go ahead and first thing we'll prevent default. Event.prevent default, and don't forget to invoke it. If you forget to invoke it, it's a little bit of a debugging nightmare unless you recognize the behavior. If you don't recognize the behavior and then it only doesn't do it sometimes because the next time it keeps working, it's annoying. Trust me. It's been like 4 hours on a bug like that, to be completely honest. Yeah, Shia.
I'm getting an error. Document is not defined. Whenever I do document query selector, and I'm using async in my HTML, I take out the DOM constant load.
Unsure. I'll have to look at that a little bit later. That's weird. Okay, and so in this event, let's just make sure that everything fires the way we want it to. Somebody's music is on also. Just heads up. Rafid, I think it might be you.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not you? I thought it was coming from your phone.
No, it's coming from back there.
Yeah, definitely in the back. Wait, where's my book? No.
It's fine. It's coming from the front.
Right.
Yeah,
Alright, well, whatever. It's soothing enough. Just more like mystery. I love a good mystery, okay? You can call me Nancy Drew. Let's make Nancy. We already have a Nancy. Damn. Let's just say Miss Drew. That's okay. Okay, Nancy Drew's, how old is Nancy Drew now? Like 200? So we submit the form, and it didn't prevent the default at all. Interesting. Is it? Maybe. And it didn't, and it worked? Well, that was a little, oh, maybe I didn't refresh since I made that. Let's make it big. Let's just try again. Okay, I just hadn't refreshed the front end since the change. Kind of a silly mistake. So we have our event, we stopped our event, and then what do we need to do now? What's the goal? Somebody talk to me. Yeah, Henry.
What your goal is to try to get everything into the.
Yeah, so we got to go grab the value in these inputs, right? And then we have to send these back in a post request. So let's go ahead and grab those elements. So let's go ahead and say let name, and I'm going to say name is going to be document dot query. I'm going to say name input. I'm just going to call it that, by the way. I'm just going to be more specific. You'll see why in a second. Okay, so we have document.query selector, and I think we called it name input, right? Okay, and let's do that again for age. Okay, let me add my semicolons. Okay, so now that I've saved those, we can, well, okay, I'll actually, yeah, whatever, that's fine. So let's go ahead and make this post request. So we'll say axios.post, and our route for that is, I believe, is again the same route, just with a post request, right? So we'll add our localhost to /users, and then let's go ahead and create our data object here. And so, what's the data that it's expecting? Name and age, right, as an object. So I'm going to say name, and I'm going to have that point to name input dot value. Whoops, I don't know why I added that thing. And then let's dot value. Sorry. Okay, and then let's also add an age and say age input dot value.
Do you have to add a weight in front of Axios?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to add this user through a post request. Yeah, it should be. Because that's my create users path. And we can check. That's a good question. So is it the right path? Okay, let's go look at the folder. So let's go ahead and say routes for our users. And it's to post a user is also just a slash. So we should be good. So we'll go back now to our index.js in our front end. Okay, now do I care about this response back? What will be the response back? Yeah?
The response will be the information implementing successfully user query with the JSON.
Right. Yeah. So the response that we set up to when we create a user is going to look like this, right? We had to return the new user as well as make a message and a status. For now, I'm not going to use any of that. I could if I wanted to, right? I could use, I could keep this and then take the user, and instead of making another network request to get all the users again, I could just update my current list after it works. Does that make sense? But instead, I don't really feel like doing that right now. I'm going to take a slightly lazier way out. And in doing so, I'm just going to assume that that works. And then I'm going to clear my inputs. So I'm going to say name input dot value is equal to that. And I'll change the age input because I just want those clear. And then I'm going to call list people again at the end so that it reruns that starting function. Okay, so let's give this a shot. Yeah, Calvin. So when we call list people, it will go and do this again, make a new request for all the users. But now the user should include the new user. So we'll just automatically update it. I could have done, like, updated my front end right here, assuming like that since I know I got a successful response on the back end, then I could just update my front end accordingly. And instead of making another network call, that's a personal choice. That would be up to you. But for now, I'm just going to do it like this because it feels like less work. Okay, so let's give it a shot. So we'll refresh. Let's make sure it's refreshed here. Let's say Drew, and Drew is a couple 100 years old, and we will submit the form, and we get Drew now at the bottom. Right. You can see, and like when I refresh, right, like Drew's still there now, which is pretty cool. It's annoying that Drew shows up at the bottom to me. I'd rather she show up at the front. So I could change my SQL query in the back end. Like if I had a date property on my table, I could order by the date or something. But for now, I could order, and I could also order by ID, I guess, because those are going to come in serial order. I'm going to do something that's just feels like less work at the moment, and I'll just call dot reverse on this. Right? That seems like less work to me. It's just because I want Drew to show up at the front because Drew's the most recently added person. So that way, when I say like, let's add Saint Nick, and Saint Nick is about 1,000. Like then we have Saint Nick that just shows up, right? Because if you were making like a to-do list or something, and you add it, you don't really expect it to show up on the bottom of the page. That's kind of a negative behavior. Because then it looks like it doesn't work if there's a lot of things, and then you're like, oh, it did work. It just made it unusable. Right? Okay. So now we've got this page that's hitting our API, getting information, updating, creating. Right? It'd be very easy to also create a button here that like deletes it. Well, relatively. I mean, it's the same steps. We would just have to add the ID into that LI so we would have access on the target element. So let's just talk about the bonus. I'm not going to go to the whole bonus, but this will help us for our project that we're probably going to start tomorrow. So, which would give everybody an extra day because it's supposed to be Monday. Okay, so let's say in my HTML, I want to also have this pets page where I have all my pets because I want a multi-page application. So at the top here, like let's say I make a nav bar. I think these are actually supposed to be lowercase, so I apologize. Nav. And then in here I can make my navigation links. So I can make an A tag that's going to link us to /, let's say pets.html. I don't have that right now, but I will. And I'll say like pets homepage. And let's go ahead and make a pets.html file in our front end. So this is a file. We'll say pets.html. We'll add it. Let's just make a basic HTML format, and then we'll make a nav page here. That will be another A tag. Whoops. That will link to our index.html, and we'll just say like users homepage. And then here I'll just do a header tag that says like welcome to the pets page. HTML. Oh, thank you. Nice catch, Doug. And then everyone else who also caught it. Thank you. Right, so now I've got this. So now, when we're on our page, we can go, oh, okay, we can interact and play with this page, right? So I can say like, I think Corey, I'll just call it Core, 4 years old, submit it. Oh, there's me, let's go check out the home pets page. And it's like, oh, welcome to the pets page. It got small because I'm like zoomed in and it refreshes, but and it thinks it's a new page. Right? If I wanted to have JavaScript and stuff, I would just make another JavaScript file, like a pets.js or something on the front end, and I would link that JavaScript file to this HTML page, and then I could do anything I wanted, right? So with all of that, you have the skills to make any web page you want, right? There's some like negatives because our nav bar isn't something that we can, like we have to rewrite our nav bar every time. So there's some duplicate code. But that's how the internet used to work a while ago. So that's kind of cool. When we move on to season 4 and learn React, we'll be doing like more reusable components, and it'll be a little bit more fluid. But for now, like this is how you'll build your social media app that's multi-page. Yeah, Doug.
Are all the JS files in the front end in a different folder, or is like every page
Is every page its own file?
Like let's say like you want to show you like 5 pages, and every page has a front end like JavaScript. So would you create a different folder?
So I would keep everything in the front end folder, but I would probably split other things up into their own files so that it doesn't look too crazy. I would probably have like I would probably do something like this. So inside of I would create a folder, and this would be like users homepage, right? And in my users home, I'll have my index.html. I have my index.js. Okay, and then I will also then create my pets home page. So I'll say pets home page, and that I'll put this in. Right now my relative links won't work, so let me just do let me just change this. So slash users home slash index.html, and then we have to adjust our index.html, which I probably should have called like users home.html, and this will be slightly different as well. So this will be slash pets home pets home page. Okay, so now it's a little bit more organized in my front end, and everything still works. Nope. Oh, because this is still pointing to my other thing. This, I'm just have to go like this. This is just pointing to the wrong spot. My like regular index.html page at the bottom would probably be like where I would keep all my navigation link, and then I would go into folders. But you can architect it in different ways. But there, we have a multi-page app. Brandon.
Did you only just use
So that's the relative path. So if I'm in my users here and I'm trying to get to the pets page, I have to go up a level and then down into pets. So 2 dots goes up a level. It's the same as in Bash when you want to go back up. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, so we have all the tools. Awesome. So keep working on in your pairs on